thanks everyone for joining. It seems like from the chat that most of you are familiar with no commerce in some way, shape, or form, whether you're a partner, whether you're a merchant we support. And so thank you so much. James, I see your question, not to detract too much, but so far there's already 100 people in here, so we can get things kicked off. And so behind the scenes, Jamie will be operating the slide deck. And so Jamie, feel free to advance. Sweet. So I'm your host today. My name is Stephen Bell. I lead out the agency relationships internally, as well as I'll talk to most of the brands that come through that are interested in our platform, service, and insights. Who else is also on the call is Jeremiah. He'll be doing a bulk of the speaking. He's probably the main reason why a lot of you showed up, so we'll make sure to give him the spotlight. We have Bar, who's our VP of Revenue. And then we also have Luis, who is our Director of Customer Success, on the call as well. So in order to create the most efficient and effective time today, because we only plan on doing this once a year, just so that way we can really make this actionable, is through our agenda. So for those that maybe were a little too shy to speak up, we're going to do a 20-30 second recap as to what is KNO, just so that if this is the first time you're hearing about us, that you have some sense of who we are and what we are after. We'll go over 2023 very briefly and what that means as far as partnerships and merchant success. And then Jeremiah will be taking the floor as to where we'll be going in 2024. So similar to how we've already been asking questions throughout, mainly around the Uber Eats gift cards, if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I know that I'm basically speaking to a wall because it's a webinar, but if you have questions, I do want to make this as interactive as possible. So feel free to pop them in and we can try to answer questions in real time or at the end. So just to get everyone on the same page, KNO Commerce, we are the leading customer insights platform for over 3,400 of your favorite brands. We are primarily on Shopify, but we can integrate into any type of website. And so we have merchants in all sorts of industries and all sorts of different platforms. And so if for those of you, and a bulk of you, I'm guessing, are familiar with us, 2023 was a really big year for us, which is why I went internally and said, hey, team, we should probably have a town hall just to recap everything, win with the partners and the merchants that helped got us here, and as well as paint kind of the future of where we're going. So you can read the screen, but just some of the big call outs that you might see is we've been able to help support over 1,900 new brands this year. We've had over 90 million questions get answered via our platform. And those 90 million questions equate to about $6 billion worth of revenue through the different responses we've measured. So a lot of different dollar bills have come through. And now we have over 200 partners that we work with. And so we'll go into that in a little bit as well. And so as far as 2023, so that way we can all win together. Like in 2023, we became the go-to solution for attribution insights in 2023. So what does that mean? When most of the brands that I talk to or the team talks to, they first come to us for attribution. They're maybe on 1 or 2 channels, or maybe they're on 10 to 12, whatever it is. We became the go-to not only solution as far as platform, but also as far as people and strategy in 2023. So just to our most famous question alone, how did you first hear about us? We had over 16 million responses. And our thought process on attribution allows you to dive deeper. And so as a reminder to those that might not be familiar, most surveys usually result to the question, how did you hear about us? But in our methodology, we don't believe that helps guide the customer to tell you the most about their journey. It doesn't help guide the customer as to if it's the discovery or what actually brought them to the site today. And so as you can see here, how did you first hear about us is our bread and butter. We'll be able to follow up. Hey, who posted about us? Was it organic, paid influencer, or like a random account? What brought you to our site today? And then the bread and butter of our reporting is how long did you know about us before making your first purchase? And so going into kind of the tail end, some of the things that we were able to sneak in right before the new year when many of you were busy with clients or with holiday sales yourself. We're now able to drill down to the ad level with picture and GIF recall. So you can upload whether you're winners, whether you're testers, whether the ones that maybe you paid a lot to a creative agency and you really want to squeeze out as many attribution insights as possible. And then the ability to create auto expand text to eliminate other buckets. And so that's in a brief nutshell, kind of our 2023 and why people came to us. Now, as we had a lot of success on the platform, it also led to a massive opportunity to work really closely with TikTok. And so we can send this out after the call as well. But just to recap the partnership for any of those that are not familiar, this is a case study that we did with Pura Vida bracelets. And as you can see, there were a ton of different learnings. We realized that TikTok was actually the first largest discovery channel for new customers for Pura Vida. There were over 20% of net new customers coming straight from TikTok. And that people that saw an ad or influencer post about TikTok became one of the new ways to learn about Pura Vida. Sorry for the typo there. And so in the process of PPS data collection, we learned a ton about the different audience and buyer. And just to not give away the full case study, we'll make sure to send that out as well after the call. And so kind of summing up 2023, I just want to end on this note. Many of you already know this, but any brand that is advertising on TikTok can get up to a $5,000 TikTok ad credit when using no commerce. So the partnership is definitely alive and well, and definitely want to make sure that if you are investing on TikTok, make sure to message us after this call and we can send more details about the program. And so none of this could probably be possible without our partners. We are definitely a very partner-driven business. We take our partners' relationships really seriously. That comes through continual onboarding, education, teamwork, and making sure that they're fully aware of how to utilize our platform, whether for performance, retention, or conversion rate. So these are a list of our top preferred partners. And just thank you again for all the help that you have contributed in the last year towards no commerce and your merchants. And then to close out the partnership realm, these are our tech partners. They've been able to really help expand the platform capabilities, whether it's through enriching your third-party pixel attribution, pushing towards a mobile app, or pushing towards an affiliate or referral program. These are the partners that have really helped make us grow as well. And so now I'll hand it off over to Luis to take it away.
Thanks, Stephen. Cool. So as you can see, we have so many great partners, but how do we enable independent merchants and our amazing partners' clients? What have we been up to on the customer side of things in 2023? Every brand that signs up for one of our paid plans receives the option for an onboarding or a best practice call with me, where I listen to their goals and make sure that we deploy the strategy that is right for them. Since joining KNO a few months into 2023, I've connected with close to 130 brands to get them more insights into their customers. Throughout the call, if any of the merchants are looking for new software vendors, or if they don't already have an agency, we can personally match them to a few vendors that might be a good fit when it's right or if it's requested. Anyone on our pro or enterprise plans is provided with a dedicated Slack channel with us out of talking with some of the largest brands in ecom. There's one simple request on how we can deliver the most value is through having access to our team. So we give them a front row seat to all of the most recent updates, product rollouts, and anything else that we can enable them in their ability to extract insights and make them actionable. Lastly, one of the biggest changes that we have done since our growth in 2023 is the emergence of our enterprise plan. This plan gives you not only everything I just outlined, but you also get unlimited surveys, users, and strategy check-in calls with me whenever you want them. Our team is really small, so to ensure quick and efficient support, we also implemented an AI chatbot for anyone reaching out to us outside of the dedicated Slack channels. If any of you are on our free or accelerator or analyst plans, then you've already probably interacted with Finn. Enabling this feature has encouraged us to create up-to-date articles and easy onboarding flows as we continuously track and improve our support functions. And finally, we take customer feedback super seriously. We implemented a customer-facing feature request board that our team reviews carefully and often. Any and all users can look through our current requests, as well as add their own by logging into their account and clicking on the little messenger icon at the bottom right of the page. That's pretty much it for me. I know that most of you are just here to hear Jeremiah talk, but in conclusion, your success is our success. So please see us as an extension of your marketing and your insights team. And then I thought I would just close out with a few examples of some reviews that we've received at the end of the year, mentioning support and success. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Louise. Thanks, Stephen. Jamie, you want to move to the next slide? Cool. Okay. So real quick, before we dive into all this stuff, sorry, I've been sick, so forgive me too if I'm a little not distracted, but anyway, not feeling great. So but real quick, what I wanted to do is just kind of go back in time a little bit too. So we started this in 2020 was when the first app that we built came out. So we had a very simple post-purchase survey app that we launched in 2020. And some of you have been around since then, which is incredible. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all. So that was how we kind of started. And then we didn't really launch the platform that you all are using today until September 2021. So it's been about 2.5 years. And that time we've gone from, I think we had about 50, I believe it was 51 brands in the beta to 3,500 plus when you look at Shopify and all the other systems that are connected. So lots of growth. And I think one of the things that, over the last couple of years, we really focused on survey platform as the focus. And a lot of that is that we want it to be something that's easy to understand. But really the original vision and what we're really pushing towards in 2024 is building a customer insights platform. And so we've gotten to this point now. We have 3,500 plus brands that we're working with. As you can see, tons of data being collected. And so we're at a point now where we're kind of ready to start to make the switch into, we're not just surveys. Surveys are the foundation of what we do, but ultimately we're a customer insight platform. And so I'm going to kind of be, that's going to be a lot of the theme here and what we're talking about. So I'm seeing everybody's questions here. Alex, this is going to hopefully cover what you are wondering in terms of how we're staying agile and adapting. And then I'll try to go through all these questions that are here as well. So yeah, and just to reiterate, none of what we have built would be possible without you all. And so I just want to make that really clear. Okay, so survey improvements that are coming in 2024. We have been working on a full rebuild of our reporting infrastructure. And we actually did this last year and it wasn't as successful as we hoped. We're redoing it this year in a different way. That so far is looking really good. And so that should hopefully be coming out here in the next couple of weeks. You really won't see much of this, but it's kind of the back end infrastructure that's there. And what that will allow is just a lot better improvements to our audiences feature. So if you are not familiar with that, basically it gives you the ability to create groupings of customers based on all kinds of different data, and then filtering your survey responses with that. So that's the way that that functions currently. But the rebuild that we've done is going to allow us to do a lot more with audiences over time. So I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but just note that audiences are going to be getting some really good improvements. And then again, just like faster, more flexible data views are going to be coming. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a work in progress. We have a ton of things we want to do. So we're going to be working towards those things over time. And then just better data collection, cleaner data collection is a big focus in 2024 as well. So we've been working for 6 months or so on a AI recategorization tool. So basically taking the data from certain questions and categorizing it for you in a way that makes the data a little bit cleaner. So taking something like for example, if you ask a customer, how did you first hear about us? And they say, my mom, we can just rebucket that into friend, family member, coworker. So doing some things like that are just gonna be a lot smarter and easier cleaning of the data. So that's been in progress. That should hopefully be first version of it rolling out in Q1, late Q1, early Q2. And then we also have added the autocomplete text response ability, which is really cool. That's currently in beta. So if you want to use that, you haven't been using it, reach out to our team. We can show you how to enable that. But basically what it does is it allows you to have an autocomplete search on an open text question. So when somebody starts typing in, like in the other text box, for instance, if they start typing something in, they can actually it will pull up responses that have already been answered. We're going to be doing some tuning of that over time. But those are kind of the key survey specific improvements that we're looking at in 2024. We're also going to be doing a lot of work on just usability improvements. So better onboarding, just easier survey creation and launch, automating as much of that process when possible. If you're already using no commerce, that's probably not super relevant to you, but like if you're an agency who's here today, hopefully it will enable that to be much easier for your clients. We are doing some really cool stuff with attribution. So this has been the thing that I mean, as Stephen was covering earlier, this has been the #1 use case for our platform. So even as we are looking to provide additional value in this context of a customer insights platform, we're still leaning really heavily into some of the attribution things. So we have something that's been in beta for alpha really for a long time, couple of years that's hidden. A couple of you probably know about it. But it's basically like a modeled attribution report. And we're going to be expanding that, making that a lot better. The new data infrastructure we have in place makes that much easier to use. And so that will be coming and be available in 2024 as well. And then for our agencies who are on the call, I'm really excited about some of the agency stuff we're working on. We're working on some tools that it's probably gonna be like Q2, late Q2 to Q3 that the stuff comes out, but just better reporting tools to help you see what's happening across multiple clients. So we have in our system really cool tools around benchmarking and understanding the relationship between a single brand and the rest of the industry on some specific questions, but we're going to be giving you some of those tools to actually look at across your client base. And then also just more industry level insights that we're trying to bring to our agency partners. So we're doing some really cool stuff there. Would love any feedback and thoughts from you all too. So if you are an agency on this call and you want to know more about what that would look like, reach out and we can start talking about those things a little bit more specifically with you. And then this is kind of the first big step into this idea of a customer insight platform. And this is something that we've had. We launched in a private beta last March called Automated Insights. This is a really cool thing. So it's you can call it AI for short if you want to. But basically the idea is that we are helping you collect data that helps you understand more about why your customers are buying and what it is that motivates them to purchase. And we're doing it across a bunch of different brands So we have 50 plus that are currently enrolled in this, over $1 billion in revenue that's processed online annually from these brands. And basically what we're doing is we're sampling a small subset of your customers to ask them these questions. And what it does is it gives you an idea of who are your customers, so some demographics data. What is it that motivates them to buy? So asking questions like literally, which of these are reasons why you buy products online? And then helping you understand how that differs to the rest of the D2C industry. So we're doing some really cool stuff with that. That will be open beta here in the next few days. So I'm really excited about that. If you are, it does require our pro plan. So if you're on our pro plan, you can access that. And I do ultimately want it to be something that expands beyond that. But I think it's in the short term, we just need it gated to a specific plan so we can really test it, make sure that we know what works, and then we'll figure it out over time. For 2024, we're looking at building audiences based on that data. So, and again, audiences in the way that we're describing it is within the context of our platform. So basically filtering survey response data by that. We may do more with that in the future, but at the as of right now, that's what we're talking about in the context of audiences. We have some data partnership, well, at least one specific data partnership in the works right now that's going to be really interesting. Basically pulling in some third-party data to add a ton more additional insight. And the idea is that it's just going to be a lot faster time to insight. So in general, I want you to be able to say, hey, I want to know this about my customers. You click a few buttons and we make it happen. And that is a little bit of an ambitious view of it, but that's what we're working towards. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that was, Jamie, is that all we have on the slides here? Cool. So real quick, I guess, Alex, did that answer your question there in terms of like what we're working on? We're really focused, and just to kind of recap, we're really focused on the idea of giving you insights about your customers that are going to drive new innovation. And that's ultimately the goal here.
Love it. Thanks so much, Jeremiah, for sharing a little bit more about that. And we'll open it up to formal questions here in just a little bit. I know we blocked out an hour, but we might not need it. And we're here to respect your time. I know we all have businesses that we need to work on in one way or another. But I mean, at the end of the day, like we do try to show up in person. I think we are all a little bit tired of hiding behind a digital screen. So I felt like it's important to also call out the events that we'll be at. So Shop Talk, I think most people are pretty familiar with that, and Sub Summit. But D2Ski, if you are a brand, this is the brainchild of Bar, our VP of revenue, but we're still looking for a few brands at the end of March to join us in Aspen. So any of our events, if you're there, would love to meet you in person. Otherwise, we will connect via the digital screen, and I'm sure more events will be added onto this list. Cool. So we'd love to open it up for Q&A. I think the best format is maybe Jeremiah, if you just want to take the questions just so they can hear it from the purest source, then we can go from there.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good. Okay, so got to Alex's question. Flora had a question: what steps is No Commerce taking to promote diversity and inclusion within the organization? That's a good question. We are 12 people, so it's very small. We do our best to make sure that whenever we're hiring for a role, we interview whoever's interested. And that's kind of the approach that we take to this point. So I know I'm a I'm a white dude. I think there's probably a view that white dudes don't really care. I do care. I have my wife is Black. I've got 2 daughters who are who probably will identify as Black, and so I very much think about these things. But I think in an organization our size, the best we can do is just make sure that we're interviewing whoever's interested and doing our best to to take steps in that way. We just don't, we're small. So there's only so much that we can do. And I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, but that's kind of the way that I see it. Okay, we got another question. What trends do you foresee in 2024 for D2C brands? That's a really interesting question. So as you all know, we look at a lot of attribution data. So one of the things that we saw in 2023 was a little bit more of a shift towards in two directions, really. So one was a little bit of a shift away from some of the channels that are harder to track on a click basis. So when we look at survey response data, one of the things that we see is that if somebody answers a survey with, if you ask somebody, how did you first hear about us? And they answer TikTok or YouTube, and those are kind of the two biggest ones in particular, where you see a really massive gap between the click response, or the click and the response. So what we see is in those two channels, most of the time, if somebody, like TikTok specifically, over half of people will actually come through a Google search click if they say that they discovered a brand on TikTok. And so there's different sort of levels of that. And so one of the things that we saw is Instagram and TikTok had kind of a little bit of a downward trend in 2023, whereas Facebook trended up. And YouTube, I think, was, I don't want to misquote, so I'd have to go back and look at this, but I think YouTube was also a little bit down. And so what we saw was a lot of what it appears to be is a lot of brands pulling money back in channels where they don't see the click data. And that makes sense when you're struggling. Struggling may not be the right word, but when you are really trying to make sure that you're maximizing the impact of all your dollars. So that was one of the things that we really saw in 2023. At the same time, though, we did kind of see a little bit of a resurgence in some of those channels towards the end of the year. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. I am also really interested, like TikTok Shops is one of the most compelling things that I've seen in the last 6 months. We saw a huge ish drop in TikTok responses in Q4, which makes me think that, and we didn't see that on any other channel. And it lined up with the launch of TikTok Shops. So what it looks like from our side is that TikTok Shops is actually capturing a lot of that revenue. So that's just our opinion. We haven't talked to TikTok about that to see what they think, but it was really interesting just to see like that instant drop and then kind of flattening where it looked like a lot of revenue was getting rerouted to TikTok Shops. So I think that's going to be interesting to track the trend in that over time. And then in general, I do think we're just going to kind of see this focus on profitable scaling in 2024. I don't think that's going to really change. So I think we'll probably see those trends kind of continue. We are seeing a lot of success, though, in things like TikTok and TV and YouTube in terms of discovery. So I do think it's going to be really interesting to see how brands kind of adjust the way that they measure those channels over time. Let's see. Another question. You mentioned AI to help clean up survey response data. What are other optimization areas KNO is exploring AI with? Yeah, good question. So the survey response data stuff, that is a model that we're building internally. Using ChatGPT or something like that for the volume that we're working with it's not cost effective. And we don't want to raise everybody's price to $1,000 a month. So that is something we're doing internally, and it's also just better to do it that way. We are also looking at just doing some reporting around reporting with AI, so some summary things with AI. The other factor here too is that we're a little bit hesitant to just push data into OpenAI. I think their terms of service around their API and stuff are good, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're being careful with any raw data that we're sending, and that would require us sending raw data out. So we're still working through what that looks like, but I do think that some sort of summarization of responses feature is going to be coming at some point too. A lot of focus seems to be around D2C brands. Does KNO work with lead generation focused customers? You absolutely can do some lead generation surveying with our tech. So basically what you do is you'd add a survey at the point of a lead being submitted. But it's not the primary use case. So I would say, like, in general, the focus really is on D2C brands. So you can use it for other cases. We have people using it for SaaS. We have people using it for lead gen type things, but it's definitely best. It works best when you can pull in things like revenue on a purchase. You can pull in like specific products purchased, number of times somebody's purchased, all those kinds of things, and layer that data in. All right, Shane, how is No Commerce working with podcasting in general? Other attribution platforms have a recurring issue with customers misspelling shows. Yes, that's a good question. So there is, that's part of where the autocomplete feature comes into play. So when somebody starts to type on a show, the problem is people may still misspell the show, but it does start to group the data into a smaller data set when somebody will start typing, and then they can actually see the response pop up and just select it. So that's one solution that we have. One of the other things we're looking at is basically doing and we actually have this right now. So you can do a drop down question where you could have 50 different options in there and do an autocomplete search on that. So one thing that's really nice with our platform is that we have a basically like an unlimited follow-up question capabilities. So you could literally have like question number 6 be conditional in the response to question number 1 sort of thing. So you can have a few different questions there, and then you could ask, if somebody said they discover you on podcast, you could then ask them a follow-up question with podcast, let them search through it. So I think that would probably be the best solution. If you do have a subset of shows that you're looking at, you could then have other trigger and to ask a follow-up question where somebody could type an open text, or they could just type an open text in that context too. So that's a good one though. If you want to just reach out to us, and if you're working on that specifically for a brand, we can definitely give you the best guidance and recommendation there. But I think that would be the approach is just using the autocomplete search.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off that, Jay, Shane, nice to meet you. I know you're with Adopter Media, and my girlfriend actually works with you over at Deer Media. So, I mean, we've been able to also help set up with some brands. I know there's a lot of attribution issues, so I talked to Deer Media quite a bit about this. And so, like, understanding if it's the first time listening to that show, time to conversion overlays, like, these are some of the additional ways in which we're trying to help better map out beyond some of the industry tools that you're probably already currently using.
Cool.
Any other questions? Sweet. Well, we'll take silence as a no. I don't believe that there's anything else, but all to say, if you are a brand or a merchant on this call, brand, merchant, or partner of ours, I think the one with clearest things is, while we have like where we're going, like, we will also want your feedback. So if there's ever anything in Slack or via email, or if you want to hop on a call, always more than happy to do that as well. So thanks for everyone that attended, and to those that were eager about the Uber Eats gift cards. We'll make sure that we look at the list and we distribute them properly. So everyone have a great day, and thanks again for joining.
Yeah, thank you all. Really appreciate your time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.